Good evening and welcome to Transition Talks Tuesdays with Madison Metropolitan School District and the Southern Regional Center for Children and Youth with Special Healthcare Needs out of the Waisman Center. My name's Tim Markle. I'm director of the Southern Regional Center. We cover 14 counties in southern and southwest Wisconsin, including the awesome county of Dane, where the awesome school district, Madison Metropolitan School District, resides, where the awesome Sheena Behnke has put together this series, and she is unable to be with us tonight. So we do, though, have fantastic people who know what they know, and we want them to tell us what they know. So we're going to start with Jason Penticoff, who's with Project Search. And after Jason is done, and we take any questions about Project Search after his, we will then turn it over to Jessika Schultz, and she will talk to us a little bit more about Campus Connect. And then we could take some questions about Campus Connect. And then we could take more questions for Jason that you thought of as Jessika was talking. And that's just the way that it's going to work. So we are just going to turn it on over to Jason and Jessika. First, Jason. Well, Jessika, thank you for being here as well. Jason, thank you so much for being here. And I turn it all over to you. Hopefully everything is set for you to share your screen and we'll be off and running. I will keep an eye on the chat.
Okay, sorry, now I had this all under control for the pandemic, and now I act like I don't know what I'm doing on Zoom. All right.
Listen, I got to tell you, that's the strangest thing because I'm doing the same thing. Like, there was a meeting that I just started like 10 minutes ago where I talked for like 5 minutes and I was still on mute. It's really weird.
Hello, my name is Jason Penticoff. I am the project search coordinator through Madison Metropolitan School District. I've been a teacher for 18 years. I have taught at Tim's in DC. That's where I started my teaching career. For the first 5 years, I taught in the DC and the suburbs around. And then my family and I moved to Wisconsin to be closer to our family. And I taught in McFarland for a couple of years and then moved to Madison Metropolitan School District in about 2014. I've been the project search teacher for the past 3 years, and it has been a true blessing. I've been really lucky to have been working in the transition to programs and working with these young adults to make dreams come true. I know that sounds a little cheesy, but that's what I kind of do with these kids. It's really great. If Project Search is one of those little known secrets. I don't know exactly why it is not proselytized far and wide in Dane County. We do serve all Dane County students. We currently have a student from Middleton and a student from Belleville that has been in our program. And, there's been kids from Sun Prairie, there's been kids from DeForest, there's been kids from Monona Grove. My students recently said, keep giving me kind of the gruff because I keep saying kids, and I think that's because I'm old and they're young, and so they're kids to me. And so I mean young adults, so I apologize. Project Search is a business-led collaborative providing real work experiences with training and employability to help young people with disabilities gain and maintain employment. We provide a total immersion in a large community business. So in Project Search in Madison, we work with the UW and the VA hospitals. That's all right next to the Wiseman Center. So if you've ever been down there, that's exactly where we're at. The program is for anyone who is 18 to 21. We've had years where it's almost all 21-year-olds, and we've had years where there are, like this year, where we have a lot of 18-year-old students that are in there. It's a workforce alternative for the last years of high school, and students experience several internships plus classroom learning. So the day works pretty much the same from September to August. We have an hour-long class, usually on vocational skills, social skills. Even we've been doing a lot of skills with this current group on like dating in the workplace and how we manage these kind of conversations and deal with stuff. And we do that for an hour, and then the students then go to a rotation, and that is their internship. Those rotations usually last from 9 to 11. Then they have a lunch, and then they go back at 11:30 and do that till about 1:30, 2 o'clock. and our hope is to have kids be in at least 3 to 4 rotations to kind of figure out where they're at and what they want to do. Our Project Search is a very student-driven program. I'm not going to force kids to be in the kitchen if they hate cooking, or in the laundry department if they hate cleaning and folding. You know, and we'll talk a little bit more about rotations later. But our goal for the end of the year is to find meaningful, competitive, paid employment of at least 16 hours a week in an integrated business setting. So when I say that we have a business-led collaboration, what that means is that I work with the UW and VA hospitals. I have relationships with the departments. We have set rotations that are throughout the hospitals. They have hired students. Last year it was 90%. The year before it was 100% of students were hired. And these are jobs that are paid at the competitive salaries. So they're not $11 an hour. If you start at UW right now, you are starting at $17 an hour. And if you're starting at the VA, you start at 15. They are getting the jobs that, their coworkers have. Project Search in general is a worldwide program. We have 33 different project searches in Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin, they vary. If you go to Milwaukee Airport, there's a project search there. If there's the Milwaukee Zoo, there's a project search there. Jack Links has a project search. I mean, there is a lot of project searches throughout Wisconsin that are different, and it's all business and an agency that works with them. We were the first program in Wisconsin. The first one in the United States that worked with the VA hospital. We are a true wraparound program. What I mean by this is, like, your student or your young adult will come to Project Search. There's the Madison School District that help. Like I said, we do lessons, we do, we teach them, and we also collaborate with a vocational agency called MARC. So what I mean by wraparound is, if your student or young adult gets hired at the hospital, they will be working with the vocational agency that knows them. And that is a big deal, because then, as I'm sure these Transition Tuesdays have shown, it's sometimes been difficult to find vocational agencies. And if you do find a vocational agency, they may not know your student, and they may not know the person that's coming in to check in on them. And so what's really great is that we have, I still talk to former interns. I still see them every day. If they have issues, they know who to contact and talk to. So it gives support to the student, but also allows the business departments to feel like they can, that we support the students. And we have students that have worked at the VA hospital for 10 plus years. The UW, the same. They like working there. They feel supported, and, the departments allow them to have some growth. There's the job skills are so there. When I was saying that it's student driven, there's a student up there that Jessica knows. His name's Liam. He's up at the top with the boxes. He did not want to work on computers. He did not want to do kitchen. He did not want to do laundry. He was very specific. I want to work at the loading docks. And that's what he wanted to do. And he went down there. It was a great fit right away. And the department worked really hard to get him. And it was the first Project Search student ever hired at the VA loading docks. But it all depends on what those students want to do. I have students that, like, I want to work on computers. I want to be in an office. And then we figure out a way for them to work. So we've had students hired in the research department. We've had students hired in, basic clerical. We've had students that have taken classes like through the VA on learning how to do like spreadsheets and PowerPoints and, answering phone calls. But we also do a lot of the backbone work at the hospital. So, the kitchen, the laundry room, the dishwashers, the loading docks, the sanitizing, instruments that come through. Um, if you've been in the UW hospital, there is a very, very great chance that someone from Project Search has touched one of your items. If you look down at the bottom, right, there's a student there named Pana, and she's working, she sanitizes pumps and monitors, and those every single patient at the UW. We have 5 former interns working in that department. And, they, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but the UW has been really raising their wages at this point, and she is making $18.25 an hour for working just over a year there. It's been amazing to watch that stuff happen. But it really, like, we get to know the kids, we have relationships with the departments, and we, meet them where they're at and what their long-term goals are. Benefits for the interns. They learn skills that help them become more independent for the workforce. By doing 3 to 4 different rotations, they get a diversity of job skills. So even if we don't have, find employment at the UW and VA hospital, we have relationships with the community that knows that Project Search interns have been trained, they work hard, and they want those students. This year I had a student that we couldn't find the right placement for, and I called another hospital. I said, do you need help in this department? And they were like, yes. How many of those kids can you send us? So it's been really great. It's experience in a variety of work locations, and they learn really, it's a safe space for them to be able to take risks, to allow them to learn how to work with a boss that's not a teacher, to learn how to interact with coworkers that are not same age peers. So, when these kids, when they are in their departments, they're working with the people who are there. And like I said, we have a connection to a vocational agency. So that agency has been working with us since the beginning, and they take our students once they get jobs. And working at the VA is a great place because it's a federal hospital, and it has the benefits of a federal employee. And the same with the UW. I watch the students, and they have really great access to healthcare, and they have great access to the wages we were discussing. Now, there are some requirements, and I have not put this on here yet. So, it's the biggest thing for me is, regardless of a student's disabilities, that they have a desire to work, and they want to be working in, not necessarily in the hospital setting, but they would like to, if they have had experiences in a workplace before, that is really helpful. So, they want to work, they would like to work specifically in a hospital, because even if we're not dealing directly with patients, you're walking down the hallway, and there are kids, there are people having the worst days of their lives, right? So you want to make sure that you're not, you're able to handle those kinds of situations. We very rarely work specifically with patients. We do have some kids that are, they're screeners. So they're the people that you see when you come in through the hospital. So, they have to want to work in general, right? And they have to want to, be able to handle working in a hospital situation, even though, that doesn't mean that, they can't have, we have a variety of students in our program. So it's not just, high functioning students, it can be anything. And we have had students that, have modified job tasks because for example, we have a student who his job is just he sanitizes all public spaces. And, by doing that, he helps his department he takes that away from the rest of the department, and it lifts everybody up. And you know, we see him every day. He's a great ambassador for the Project Search program. How this next steps work is, you know, you guys, you know, everyone can come and, you know, email me or give me a phone call. It's right there. The next step is you come in and, you know, you either come in with your student, which I've done more and more, where I've worked, if the student's not attached to a transition case manager, I've worked with parents and walked with them through the hospital. It is a great way to see if they're interested. I love doing it because then I get to spend about an hour with the young adult and kind of figure out, like, hey, what are they interested in? What do they like to do? What, you know, how do you think they would interact in this type of situation? You know, so I have some dates on here. They're more to try to give a focus so that I'm not doing tours every single day. But if those dates do not work for anyone, they can, you know, email me and figure it out. And then there is an application process. It is not a difficult application. It is, you know, just, you know, there is just filling it out, kind of where you're on in your transition journey. Have you been found eligible for long-term supports? Do you have a care, you know, family care or an IRIS consultant? You know, because that helps with the next stages with career counselors. And then you just apply by March 31st. At that point, we then have an assessment day that you would sign up for. And on those assessment days, we kind of run mini like job trials. So, you know, there's a station that's like folding laundry. There's a station that is working with money. There's a station that is answering kind of job interview type skills. Like how do you answer specific questions? You know, it just is an easy way to kind of get to know the student more. And then after that, you know, then we usually let students know by the middle of April. This picture here is our current group of interns, and they're just doing a phenomenal job. So, you know, Project Search is really great program, and it really does give students an opportunity to learn in a safe environment while also taking chances and trying things that they may not think that they like. Yeah, so I'm gonna just open it up for any questions or comments or concerns or, you know, critiques of my haircut. It's all up to you.
You are free to unmute if you would like, and we would see that. We don't have a large crowd tonight, so you probably will not be talking over each other. You can also put questions or comments in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to relay them.
I have a question. I'm not going to critique your haircut, but I'm not going to be on video because I'm eating dinner. So does it have to be during the last year of high school?
No, it does not. So the group I just unshared with, you know, a lot of them are 18 years old. I think we have 11 students right now, and 3 of them are in their last year of eligibility, and 2 of them would be on the next to last year, and then the rest are all young 18-year-olds. Now that is, a lot of them had been working already, so that is a kind of that's kind of why they kind of got in there. I do see, I'm just going to be honest with you, Ms. Larson, that there are a lot of kids that when they are 18, that transition to a work environment can be difficult. And so the transition programs do really help at that way to kind of help them through that. But it all depends on the student themselves, right? If they're like, I don't want to, like a lot of those 18-year-olds, they didn't fit with Campus Connect, or they didn't fit with the transition programs, and they were kind of like these in-between kids. So that's how those students worked. So there's not a hard and fast rule. Any student is able to go to, you know, schools until they're 21. So we have had students that have gone to Project Search and then went back to their home schools for transitions. That has happened before, but our goal is to find them employment in the, that's what all of our goals are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we were led to believe kind of that you had to do that in lieu of your senior year. Particularly because my daughter has a July birthday, so she's going to be 18 when she's a senior. And so,
oh, I'm not, that's a different thing. We'd have to work with your team on that one.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, I mean, most of our kids have done at least 4 years of high school. So that, but I mean, technically she could, I don't, yeah, that one we'd have to work with. I don't want to make promises. I don't know the answer.
yeah, no, it just, I kind of had ruled it out in my mind because we didn't want her to do 3 years of high school and then have to do Project Search in lieu of her senior year. So,
No. So I mean, I would strongly suggest if you want to this year to come in and do a tour and see if that's something she wants to do post her senior year.
mhm.
That's what a lot of those students are. And then we can like even work, to figure out, what we could do to get it's your daughter, right? I don't want to get her ready for Project Search.
Yeah. So I did another question, unless the other person has a question. What if she doesn't know what she wants to do? You talked about it, like matching students with their interests, and I think that's very fluid at this point, where she has a lot of interests, but not all of them would be really good fit.
Well,
For a career.
that is also something we see pretty consistently. We try to do the matching of that, and I mean, I don't do this in a vacuum, right? Our team, we have a really great team of people. We are supported by Mark and MMSD, and so that allows us to have a little bit more flexibility, so we don't keep kids in places where they're not successful, right? And so the 3 to 4 rotations are, that's our goal. But, we're finding like that right now is, from September to December is when we've done our first rotation. And there are kids that need to make that transition because we thought they would be great fits at places and then they haven't been.
Mhm.
So I mean, I would talk with you, I would talk with the team, we would figure out, where you would think the best guiding,
Mhm.
to guide them through that situation.
So at this time, is it only at the 2 hospitals, or are there other employers that are in the mix?
So I mean, there's some stuff coming down the pipeline that I can't really talk about.
Okay.
But we work with the Children's Hospital, we've had students come from us to Meriter. We've had a few students come from Project Search to Mendota Mental Health in the kitchen there. We work with a variety with DVR and Mark to find outside places too. If the student is like, I do not want to work here after a couple of rotations. So it really does depend on, what they want to do and what is out there.
Mhm.
So that's specifically where we work the closest with the hospital since we're there every day.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. I mean, that's just a variety of reasons why that might not be a good fit for her, but I don't want to get into that because that's PII, but thank you for your information. I appreciate it.
No worries. And you could, like I said, you could always reach out to me and we could do a tour, even if it's in the summer and you want to be like, hey, this is your option post, graduation, like just keep it up in your head about what it is you would like or she would like. I think in the past we haven't done younger students, and I think that does a disservice because it doesn't really show them like, hey, this is an option too, right? So
Hi. How are you this evening, Jason?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing all right. My son is a student at La Follette, and he is on the autism spectrum. He's high functioning, but needs a lot of prompting. But once he knows what he needs to do, he's all over it. Right now, we're working with the DVR. They're suggesting he applies to places like Woodman's or like Walgreens and stuff like that as just like a part-time stalker type thing. But I think that he doesn't quite get that, you know, he's required to continue interacting with the process. And he kind of checks out. And I don't know quite how to handle that. You know, I think he's like, oh yeah, I'm interested in it, but then he'll just not do anything. And then you know, the DVR person talks to him and tries to communicate with him, and it's on him to take the action, and he just doesn't take the action. So
well, I definitely, that is an issue that I have with a lot of students, especially younger. I mean, I think about the fact that when our students apply for our long-term supports, they get a call from ADRC, and none of my students have ever once called them back without me prompting them. So I want you to know, like, that is a pretty common thing with individuals, right? That they are like, it is, you know, it feels like a process outside themselves. And to be fair, right, they go to school, all that stuff has been pretty ingrained in them. So you know, just to be fair, like, that is something that a lot of students do struggle with. The best thing about Project Search is that we do set them up. Before they are left in their rotations, we usually do one-on-one training with them until they feel comfortable at that spot. So some of those things that you were talking about, that it's your son, right? You said your son would struggle with, it would be something that we would make sure that he would know what he was doing before we would leave them. And then they do perpetual check-ins throughout the day to kind of make sure that they're still on task.
I think that would be great. And I didn't know that that was something that was available to me. You know, the way that it's being handled is, you know, she shows up, she has a meeting with them, they write a resume, she shows up. I mean, it's just it's not as hands-on as the program that you're describing.
Yeah, and to be fair, that is also what the transition programs at La Follette do. The transition teachers at La Follette are phenomenal. Just to rest you assured, Chris, I'm guessing that's you know, they are really, really great, and they have great connections with the community, and they've had set up locations to, like, where they've gone specifically to help students. And they run their program pretty similar to how I just described it.
Well, we're waiting till he's 16 now. And I
Okay.
guess I'm just kind of hoping and prompting, because there's,
Yeah.
you know, his resume's together. He knows how to use email. He just needs to remember things.
Well, I mean, you know, I think he's got some time, and I think you guys I just want to reassure you that, you know, being at 16 and already working on trying to get stocking jobs and stuff like that is, I mean, that is phenomenal. That is not done normally.
He likes money.
Well, yeah, well, so that is I mean, that is just to make you feel that's really great, and you guys are on the right path to working on those types of things. So I have a lot of students that have never had a job, and if they've had a job, it's only been through their transition programs. So nice work. Way to go, guys. Hey, it's frustrating, but
doesn't feel that way, but okay.
I know.
Especially when we're dealing with issues like at La Follette right now, you know, he doesn't have a math teacher. It's just substitute teachers. And
yeah.
And it's like, how is that preparing him for a job where he needs to know his basic math, and he's in algebra and he doesn't know his pre-algebra? So it's not setting him up for success. Let's put it that way, or any of these kids.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of out of your jurisdiction. but
Yep. Sorry,
when I'm
my
thinking
friend.
when I'm thinking along the lines of the type of qualifications that he would need, like the minimum qualifications he would need to do these jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I would just really reiterate a lot. The job market is shifting and changing at this point. I don't know if this will shift in general, but we have departments taking risk on kids that they probably wouldn't have 3 or 4 years ago. So, they want students and young adults who have worked and have had
Mhm.
successful employment. So getting him to work would be the best thing. All right,
Thank you very much.
no problem.
I just want to reiterate, Chris, you are on the right path. It's a frustrating path, but man, you're ahead of the game for some kiddos, families who kids don't have disabilities. So take a little breath. You're doing some great stuff with your kiddo. Keep it up. Want to transition us over to Jessika to learn about another option that adolescents, young adults in high school have, called Campus Connect. Go ahead, Jessika.
Great, thank you. My name is Jessika Schultz. I'm one of the teachers at Campus Connect. We have 3 full-time teachers here, and I'm just gonna share my screen. All right, so we are a dual enrollment program with Madison College. So starting out, we are with Madison College and the Madison Metropolitan School District. So starting out the application process, a student would apply to Campus Connect. We take applications up until like around February is when we like to get our applications in. We then interview the students. If the student is accepted into Campus Connect, the student then applies to Madison College and applies to a college program. Student meets with the Disability Resources Center and develops an accommodation plan and registers for college classes with the help of DRS and Campus Connect. So we're a partnership with Madison Metropolitan School District and Madison College. Students are 18 to 21. They can stay in the program for all 3 of those years or not. It's up to them. And students apply to a program and take college level classes. They do receive additional support through Campus Connect. We are here to help guide them, help with some of the other supports that are on campus, showing them some of the other supports, but they are taking college level classes and need to be able to do the college level work. Students do not accept financial aid and must be DVR eligible because DVR is one of our funding sources. So that's really important that students are DVR eligible. The use of the IEP for related services. So the related services usually will come to Madison College and see the student here on campus or meet with them through Zoom. And the rest of the goals are aligned with their accommodation plan. So there's accommodations versus modifications. If your student is thinking about going to college and applying for Campus Connect, it is a good time to start thinking in the IEP about what are the modifications, what are the accommodations, and start taking out those modifications, because the modifications are not something that the college will accept. And there's, some of the examples of modifications on this slide is, less work, less homework, less testing, things like that, versus having an accommodation. So accommodations are put on a student's accommodation plan. The accommodation plans are then shared with the instructors for the classes. So things like a note taker, having a break, taking tests in a small group setting in a testing center, having extra time on a test, those are all fine. But adjusting the curriculum, shortening assignments, having a longer time for assignments, those things are more modifications that are not going to be something that the college will do. We talk a lot about self-determination, what that means in high school, college, and how we facilitate that. And then we talk a lot about self-advocacy and how that's so important, coming out of high school, going into college, figuring out how you're going to advocate for yourself. Are you going to, maybe the first year it's through us here at Campus Connect, and then we're going to facilitate that to have help that be more of the student's responsibility as the second and the third year. So here's just a list of a couple of more accommodations, text to speech, things like that. When you're for your textbooks, Kurzweil is the program that the college uses for your textbooks, where you get the textbook either in a PDF form or where it can be text to speech. Some of the college readiness skills that we like to see for students, use of public transportation or be able to get to campus. Most of our classes are at the Truex campus. Use of email, which is huge. That's really how most of the time the students are interacting with instructors. Being on time because there are no bells. Using email, attaching documents, advocating to set up meetings, making decisions, understanding the funding. So as far as understanding that DVR is a huge piece of this, and keeping that relationship with DVR, making sure you're making those contacts monthly, and sending DVR the different things that they need in order to get the funding to the college. Budgeting, time management is huge. As far as there's a lot more work in college, a lot more homework, making sure that the student is setting enough time aside to do that homework. What should students with disabilities expect when they get to college? There are student-led IEP meetings, college prep classes, becoming more involved in decision-making about your class schedule and resources. Really, that's a big one. Identifying strength areas, advocating for yourself, self-determination, and that college is hard, and it's supposed to be. And that's a big one that students have, that's a big transition, is realizing college is hard and you have to put a lot of work into it. Our students start out with usually 1 or 2 classes, and it's amazing how students come in and are ready to take 4 classes, but then when they're taking 1 or 2, figuring out that there's a lot of work to just those 1 or 2 classes, and it's more than they were expecting. So like I said, there are 3 of us here. Eric Hartz is the coordinator, myself and Michelle Monzo. We are the other 2 teachers here. Always feel free to contact us, and open for any questions.
Thank you, Jessica. And again, please feel free to unmute, or you can go ahead and put questions into the chat if you have any questions for Jessica, or if you thought of anything else for Jason.
I had a question about what you said about modifications versus accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard you say that the college will not accept any modifications in the IEP, but I guess I don't really know what you mean by that. Is it that we're supposed to try to transition her to accommodations now, or that the college will not accept her transcript if she has modified grading, or if that she needs to not have any modifications in Madison College?
Sure. Thank you. That I can clarify that. It's not that the college won't accept the students if they've had modifications in the past or if they've had modified grades. That's not it at all. It's that they do not provide modifications for the classes. So it's something that I would say that if your student is interested in, to start looking at how can we take some of these modifications out now to start getting ready for college. So, you know, some of the shortened assignments or things like that, is there a way to take some of those out or take it out for a few classes, something like that, just because it's not going to be something that will happen in college. Does that clarify?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels it feels hard because she won't probably be able to do that, at least at this point in time, because one of her major modifications right now is less homework. And so, or not any. We're working through that now, and I hope that in 2 years she'll be in a different place. But like, to me, I think it will depend on the courses that she would want to take, because some courses wouldn't necessarily require her to do homework, so there wouldn't be any modification needed. But I mean, how could you write that in as an accommodation?
You can't. So that's right. That's just something, you know, that the college does not do. So it's not, that's also why a lot of our students start with one class, to, you know, begin with figuring out how much homework there is and how much work outside of class is going to be required for one class. And so it's starting slow and building up is kind of where we're at.
And you also mentioned that they don't take financial aid. Is that just,
So
what do you mean by that?
For while they're in the Campus Connect program, DVR is our funding source. So DVR will pay for students' classes. And so they don't need to take financial aid is kind of where it's at, is because DVR pays for the classes. DVR will pay for up to 6 credits a semester, and the students need to keep a grade point of having at least C's or better, 2.0 in their classes. There is a 1 semester grace period that, you know, a lot of students come to college and, whoa, that was a shocker, and that, you know, C's didn't happen. So there's a 1 semester grace period that DVR will then say, okay, but DVR is the funding. So that's where the tuition is coming from. So they don't need to take financial aid.
Okay. And then you say taking college level classes, does that just mean any classes that are offered at Madison College, or do they have to be in a track for like an associate degree, or can it just be anything?
So they can take whatever classes they would like to take, but we like our students to be, and the college likes students to be sort of in a program and looking towards a program. So whether that be, you know, a general liberal arts transfer where there's lots of different classes to choose from, or a specific program that they are looking to try to finish at some point. It's more of a program based. We're more program based versus just sort of taking a few classes here and there. But but we do have students that are, you know, undecided at this point and kind of, you know, as a lot of us were at that time. So trying to figure it out as they go, and they will switch programs or take different classes.
So can you just elaborate a little bit about what it looks like when you're a teacher there? Like you say they're dual enrolled, but is the MMSD teacher, what role are they? Is the college actually providing the instructors, or what are you guys doing as MMSD support?
Right. So, yeah, they're all college instructors. Like all of the classes that they're taking are all Madison College classes, Madison College instructors. We are here as sort of that extra support. We are the case manager, so we will still be doing IEPs. We're there to help those students figure out how to succeed in college and give them that extra support that they might need, figuring out who is the person I need to talk to about this, where do I go for this extra help, can I, you know, they're always welcome to come to our office, to work at our office, to ask us for help. And sometimes we're going to be a great help, and sometimes we're going to say, well, actually this one is where we're going to get a tutor for this math class because, you know, they're going to know the material more than I know the material. So, but we're there sort of as that go-between, and to just sort of help the students along, give them that extra support that maybe they're not getting just with DRS, the Disability Resource Center services, and just as just a little extra support. So
Yeah, that's helpful. I just feel still a little bit confused about, you know, if you're implementing the IEP in a way, then why is it that they can't have certain things in the IEP for the college?
So some of the IEP is, I mean, the IEPs are going to look different, definitely, for a student in our program than they will for a student in high school. Just because we are not a modified program. We are a fully included college program. So that means that students are taking full-on college classes, and the college just does not do modifications. So
I still feel like I don't understand, because are you then, would it be available to have supplementary aids and services written into the IEP for the classroom without modified curriculum? Or what other accommodations could be in there? Because I'm just trying to determine if she could succeed in this environment. And at this point, I don't think she could. But I also, given the right supports, there could be that success. But if right now we're dealing with mostly modified curriculum because of this anxiety that happens around the homework. She can access the content in a modified form. She can succeed in all of that. It's just, it is in a highly modified format now. In a lot of classes, not every class, but
okay. And you know, I mean, we are, like I said, we are a fully inclusive program. There are a couple of more modified programs out there. I don't know if you're aware of, like, the Cutting Edge program at Edgewood College. There's also the Life program at Whitewater. And those have more modifications that they offer for students. So that might be something to look into as far as other college programs. But as far as Campus Connect, our students are required to do the classes just like every other college student. They're doing the classes.
okay. Yeah, when the money tree starts growing, then I can maybe do Edgewood. But until then,
Right.
it's not real feasible for our family. but that's not really the point of this talk. Thank you very much for the information.
Sure. I do think that there is somewhat of a possibility of that being in a long-term support plan. From what I understand, that they have paid for some of that cutting edge in the past. So it's something to look into if your student does qualify for long-term supports.
Thank you.
Any other questions that are out there tonight? I really want to thank you guys. You've been a very interactive audience for a small group. I've had 20 times the number of people on Zoom that haven't asked this many questions and interacted this well. So good job, you guys. Way to be awake tonight. I appreciate it. Jason or Jessica, any final thoughts or comments? Or are you guys ready to go on to your evening as well?
Feel free to contact us with any other questions or any other information that we can give you. We would be happy to talk to all of you.
I would just say the same thing, just come on in and we'll see what you see and see if it's a good fit for your student.
Yeah, there's only so much information that can go through Zoom. We know that each student is very individualized and their families are very individualized as well. And so the best way is to have that one-on-one and try to understand the student, try to understand the program and see if the match is there and if it's something that's worth giving a try. So I'd like to again thank Jessica, thank you Jason for being here tonight. Thank you also the people that showed up and interacted. That was fantastic this evening. I will be back in town sometime later this week and we'll work on the recording done and get it posted and let you all know that is there so you can go back and review it and we can get it out to the people that were not able to join us tonight. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.